ما باید برخوردار باشیم از تسلیحات بازدارنده. اگر یک کشوری تسلیحات بازدارنده نداشته باشه،
In the name of God, the most gracious, the most merciful, there is no power and no strength except with God, the exalted, the Almighty. My dear nation of Iran, it was only yesterday. On this year's...
For decades, he was the ghost who pulled the strings of an empire. A figure so reclusive that for millions of Iranians, his image on a poster was more familiar than his face. He was the ultimate authority for 90 million people, the commander of the world's most powerful network of proxies, the supreme leader who outlasted 9 U.S. presidents, turning the Islamic Republic into an immovable object in the shifting sands of the Middle East. But in the last 72 hours, the whispers that have long circled the closed doors of Tehran have turned into a deafening, world-altering roar. Ayatollah Ali Khamenei is gone. Or is he? As World War III edges closer with every hypersonic missile that traces a fiery arc over the Middle East, a mystery far deeper than a simple assassination is unfolding in the rubble of Tehran. While state media declares official mourning and the green flags of Islam are replaced with black banners of grief, a crucial, inexplicable detail is missing: the body. In a regime built on the iron grip of control and the sophisticated art of propaganda, the corpse of the leader has simply vanished into thin air. This isn't just a decapitation strike, it is a riddle wrapped in an enigma, shrouded in smoke, that could determine whether this war burns out in a matter of weeks or rages on for a decade, drawing the entire world into its inferno. So how did the most powerful man in Iran meet his end? Why, in an age of ubiquitous smartphones, satellite imagery, and instant communication, can't they find him? And is it possible, just possible, that the Ayatollah is actually alive, using his own death as the ultimate military strategy? A final, brilliant move in a decades-long chess game against the West? We'll be exploring the many answers to these questions as the video progresses, peeling back the layers of propaganda, misdirection, and military doctrine to get to the truth. So be sure to stick with us because the theories we are about to present are not found in any mainstream news report. But before we break down exactly what happened on that fateful night and why this missing body matters more than any missile strike, please make sure you hit that subscribe button to War Theory. We're giving you the real analysis, the deep state speculation, and the geopolitical breakdown that nobody else will touch. To understand the chaos unfolding right now, the missiles flying, the stock markets crashing, the world holding its breath, you have to understand the man at the center of it. Ayatollah Ali Khamenei wasn't just a politician or a religious figure, he was the system itself. For 37 years, he held absolute veto power over every branch of Iran's government: its military, its judiciary, and its vast, shadowy network of proxies spread across 4 countries. He was the architect of the axis of resistance, the strategic mind who guided Iran through the devastating 8-year-long Iran-Iraq war, the existential threat of the Green Movement protests in 2009, and the escalating high-tech shadow war with Israel. At 86 years old, he was the last surviving pillar of the 1979 revolution, the final link to the fiery days when the Shah was toppled and the modern Middle East was born. He wasn't just leading a country, he was curating a legacy. But here's the part nobody talks about, the part that made him so effective for so long. For years, the world assumed the transition of power, when it finally came, would be a carefully managed, almost bureaucratic process. Western intelligence analysts pored over succession charts, debating whether his son Mojtaba would be elevated to the role or if a council of aging, wizened clerics would manage a temporary transition. Think tanks held conferences on the day after Khamenei. Everyone assumed we would see it coming. No one predicted the transition would happen not in a quiet hospital room, but with American missiles screaming through the night sky. This is where things started getting weird. In the weeks leading up to the strike, the geopolitical pressure cooker was already at a boiling point. The U.S. and Israel had been engaging in what looked like classic coercive diplomacy, a mix of back-channel talks in Geneva, public threats from Washington, and the constant low-grade hum of military exercises. But the intelligence community, for all its satellites and spies, missed the true target. They weren't just looking at Fordo or Natanz. They weren't just tracking IRGC movements. They were looking for the head of the snake, and they were operating on the assumption that the head was still attached to the body. The date was February 28th. It started like any other escalation in this new, dangerous world. Flickering reports on Telegram of explosions near strategic sites in Tehran, the ancient city of Isfahan, and the holy city of Qom. But this time, the smoke wasn't rising from a military barracks or a centrifuge facility. It was rising from a very specific, highly guarded neighborhood, the compound of the supreme leader in downtown Tehran. Here's what changed everything. At around 06:30 GMT, the Israeli media dropped a bomb of their own, one that dwarfed the physical explosions. They reported, citing anonymous intelligence sources, that a decapitation strike had been successful. Minutes later, U.S. Central Command issued a terse statement confirming Operation Epic Fury, and President Trump took to his social media platform not just to confirm the attack, but to send a direct message to the Iranian people, telling them to take over your government and promising that America is watching. The initial reports from Iranian state media were chaotic and contradictory, as they always are in the fog of war. Officials called the Israeli reports mental warfare, a classic psychological operation designed to sow panic. They defiantly claimed Khamenei was safe, commanding the military response from a secure, undisclosed location. For a few hours, the world clung to that. But then, the silence grew. The official channels, usually so quick to parade leaders in front of cameras to prove they are alive, went quiet. The silence was deafening, and then it went wrong. On March 1st, the narrative flipped completely. Iranian state media, the very voice of the regime, the organ that had called the reports lies just 24 hours prior, confirmed the unthinkable. The announcement came not with a triumphant press conference, but with a somber, pre-recorded voiceover of Quranic verses. Ayatollah Ali Khamenei was dead. The official announcement stated that he had been killed in the opening salvo of the attack, his bunker penetrated by a new generation of U.S. bunker buster munitions. Along with him, reports began to leak out, first from Iraqi militias, then from Lebanese sources, that the strike had been devastatingly precise. Senior commanders of the IRGC, including the head of its ground forces, General Mohammad Pakpour, and even members of Khamenei's inner family circle, his daughter, his son-in-law, and his young granddaughter, had been wiped out in the blast. What happened next shocked you. Tehran erupted, but not in the way you might expect. It wasn't a unified wail of grief. It was a strange, terrifying mix of chaos. State television showed the expected scenes. Thousands of bearded men beating their chests in mourning, green banners replaced with black, the air thick with ritual grief. But simultaneously, on social media, a different reality emerged. Videos from northern Tehran, the more affluent parts of the city, showed women in the streets cheering, cars honking in celebration, people dancing as the plumes of black smoke continued to hover over the destroyed government district. The government, scrambling for control, declared 40 days of national mourning and shut down the country for a week, a desperate attempt to impose order on a society cracking at the seams. This is where everything fell apart. But while the clerics were organizing mourning ceremonies, the military machine lurched into high gear, seemingly autonomous and unchecked. Iran launched what it dramatically called the heaviest offensive operations in the history of the armed forces against Israel and U.S. bases in the region. It wasn't just a token response, it was a deluge. Barrages of ballistic missiles rained down on the glittering skyscrapers of Dubai in the UAE, on the U.S. naval base in Bahrain, and on military installations in Kuwait. The Strait of Hormuz was immediately threatened with closure. Hezbollah, no longer waiting for orders from a dead leader, joined the fray from Lebanon with thousands of rockets. In just 48 hours, a single targeted decapitation strike had spiraled out of control into a full-blown, multi-front regional war that was quickly earning the name World War III. Now we arrive at the heart of the mystery that has intelligence agencies from Langley to London to Moscow scrambling, unable to provide a clear answer to their commanders. The mystery that makes this event unique in the annals of modern warfare. Khamenei is dead. The government says so. The world is reacting as if it's true. But where is he? According to the official narrative, his high-security residential compound was targeted and destroyed by a precision strike. In an era of DNA testing, facial recognition, and high-resolution satellite imagery that can read a license plate from space, the regime has failed to produce one single piece of verifiable visual evidence of the body. They have shown us nothing. In previous assassinations of high-value targets, think of General Qasem Soleimani in 2020, whose grotesquely damaged hand bearing his distinctive ring was flashed around the world as proof of death. The imagery was graphic and immediate. It was used as a tool of propaganda. This time, there is a void, a vacuum. And this is where they mess it up. If you look back at the timeline with a critical eye, you'll notice something crucial that the mainstream media missed in the initial frenzy. In the days before the strike, Reuters and other outlets, citing Iranian officials, reported that Khamenei had been moved from his usual residence to a secure location due to heightened threat levels. The Ayatollah was no stranger to danger. He survived a brutal assassination attempt in 1981 when a bomb hidden in a tape recorder exploded beside him, leaving his arm permanently paralyzed. He knows how to disappear. He knows the value of a ghost. So if he was already moved to a secure, undisclosed bunker deep under the Alborz Mountains, whose body is supposedly in the rubble of his Tehran compound, was it a meeting he was holding there? Was it a double? Or is the rubble itself a fabrication? This brings us to the theory that the media is too afraid to touch, the one that will get you labeled a conspiracy theorist, but which has a chilling logical consistency. My theory, Khamenei may be alive. It may be a strategy of war. Think about it from a purely military and strategic perspective, as we do here at War Theory. Iran's military doctrine, as analyzed by experts at the Center for Strategic and International Studies and even reported by Al Jazeera, has shifted dramatically in the last year, especially since the 12-day simulated war with Israel last June. They moved from a traditional defensive posture to an offensive asymmetric strategy. What is more asymmetric, more unpredictable, and more psychologically devastating than faking your own death on a global scale? Here's how it works, step by step. By allowing the world to believe he is dead, Khamenei achieves 4 distinct, powerful strategic objectives. First, he tests the loyalty of the entire regime. In his absence, who steps up to claim power? Who tries to seize control of the IRGC? Who makes backroom deals with the reformist president? The interim leadership council put in place, comprised of the president, the head of the judiciary, and a senior cleric, is now on full display. Khamenei can watch from the shadows, receiving intelligence from his most trusted inner circle to see who is truly loyal to the revolution and who is a liability to be purged once he reappears. Second, he unleashes a controlled wave of national rage. The moment his death was confirmed, the gloves came off. Iran's retaliatory strikes were not just stronger, they were all-encompassing. Hezbollah, which had been hesitant to commit fully, joined the war. The Houthis in Yemen escalated their attacks. Every proxy in the axis of resistance mobilized. There is nothing that unites the fractured Shia world like a martyred leader. By dying, Khamenei has done what he could never do alive. He has guaranteed a generation of fighters motivated by righteous vengeance, willing to die to avenge him. Third, he fundamentally confuses the enemy. The U.S. and Israel launched a decapitation strike with the express purpose of creating a leadership vacuum and triggering a chaotic collapse. But if the head is still attached, their entire multi-billion-dollar strategy is based on a catastrophic intelligence failure. They are celebrating a victory that hasn't happened, reallocating resources based on a lie while Iran regroups, rearms, and re-strategizes from a position of perfect information. Fourth, and most importantly, he ensures his own physical security. Where is the safest place for the world's most wanted man, the target of every special forces unit on the planet? In the grave. If everyone, including your own security detail, thinks you're dead, no one is actively looking for you. He can be moved, treated for any illnesses, and positioned to lead the next phase of the war from a location so secure, it doesn't even need guards, because no one knows to guard it. They didn't expect this to work, but it is the perfect psychological operation, the kind of move that defines a new era of warfare. The supreme leader becomes a ghost, and ghosts are much harder to kill. They are also much harder to negotiate with, to deter, or to defeat. But let's play the other side. Let's apply Occam's razor. What if he is actually dead? What if the delay in producing the body is just sheer chaos, a breakdown of authority and damage control by a regime that has literally lost its head? If Khamenei is truly gone, Iran is facing a political and theological crisis unlike any since the death of Ayatollah Khamenei in 1989. The Iranian constitution dictates that the Assembly of Experts, a body of 88 elderly clerics, must meet, deliberate, and select a new supreme leader. But here's the immediate explosive problem. There is no clear successor. The man widely groomed for the role for years, the hardline protege Ebrahim Raisi, died in a mysterious helicopter crash last year, a death that many Iranians still blame on sabotage. Khamenei's son, Mojtaba, was considered the most likely backup plan, but his wife was reportedly killed in the same strike that supposedly killed the Ayatollah. He is either emotionally devastated, in hiding, or conveniently removed from the political chessboard. This leaves a fractured and dangerously competitive leadership vacuum. You have the president, Masoud Pezeshkian, who is a relative reformist and not deeply trusted by the hardliners in the security apparatus. You have the IRGC, which now controls the missiles, the money, and the levers of power, and they might want to install one of their own, effectively ending the clerical grip on power. And you have the traditional clerics in the holy city of Qom who want to preserve the theocracy and see this as their moment to reclaim authority from the military. This is where they mess it up. If they pick the wrong person, someone too weak, too moderate, or too ambitious, the regime could implode from within, triggering a second, more deadly civil war. If they pick no one, the military runs the country by default, and Iran transforms from a clerical dictatorship into a military junta overnight. That might actually be more dangerous for the world, because a general with his finger on the nuclear trigger is far less predictable and far less constrained by theological doctrine than a cleric with a centuries-old text. So, what does this mean for the rest of us sitting at home watching the news ticker? We are currently watching a conflict that has all the hallmarks of a world war. This isn't just Israel versus Iran anymore, fought through proxies in Syria and Iraq. It's the U.S. Fifth Fleet actively fighting Iranian missiles in the narrow waters off Bahrain. It's the world's largest oil tankers on fire in the Gulf of Oman. It's grainy footage of ballistic missiles hitting the luxury hotels of the Palm Jumeirah in Dubai. It's the constant, terrifying wail of air raid sirens in Haifa and Tel Aviv as Hezbollah rockets slam into apartment buildings. With Khamenei dead, or playing dead, the restraint is gone. There is no adult in the room. The IRGC field commanders are acting independently, launching barrages that are drawing Gulf states like Saudi Arabia and the UAE directly into the conflict as U.S. coalition partners. The U.S. has already taken casualties at bases in Iraq and Syria, and the question of a ground invasion, once unthinkable, is now being whispered in the Pentagon. Right now, the situation is on a knife edge, balance between de-escalation and a global catastrophe. If Khamenei is dead and the body is simply lost in the rubble of a bunker, Iran will eventually, after a period of bloody internal strife, pick a successor. But that process will be violent, and the war will rage on as the new leader, whoever it is, tries to prove their revolutionary credentials and their strength by continuing the fight against the great Satan and the Zionist entity. If Khamenei is alive and hiding, pulling the strings from a bunker deep under the mountains, watching his enemies celebrate prematurely, then we are witnessing the most brilliant and dangerous deception of the 21st century. He is letting the world burn so that he can emerge from the ashes like a phoenix, stronger and more powerful than ever, having purged his enemies and united his people under a banner of miraculous survival. One thing is absolutely certain: the absence of a body is not just a logistical detail or a morbid footnote, it is a weapon. And until we see undeniable, verifiable proof, a body, a funeral, a succession, the Ayatollah remains the ghost of Tehran, a specter holding the entire Middle East hostage. If you got value out of this deep dive into the chaos, be sure to subscribe to War Theory for more analysis of the latest developments in global warfare. We bring you the full picture, connecting the dots between military strategy and geopolitical reality, not just the sanitized headlines. So hit that subscribe button to stay ahead of the curve and understand what's really happening. And if you want to understand the 5 other flashpoints, from the South China Sea to the border of Poland, that could trigger World War III in 2026, click the video you see on your screen right now.